The Featherstone Rovers Club was founded in 1902 by local businessman George Johnson, who, from the age of 21, was involved with the club all of his life and played a major part in Rovers being accepted to the Northern Rugby League on the 14th of June 1921. The first rugby in Featherstone, however, started almost 40 years before George Johnson's involvement, with junior sides such as Featherstone and Purston United and Featherstone Trinity. These were clubs which enjoyed reasonable success but could never command enough support as they were in competition with the top-class local side Wakefield Trinity, and often they lost their better players to the Northern Union sides. This is Jimmy Metcalf, who left Featherstone Trinity for the Wakefield side in 1896. Then along came George Johnson, who formed a new club and called it Featherstone Rovers, which would play its home games on a new ground at Post Office Road. Immediate success came Rovers' way, which meant that the bigger clubs were attracted to the Post Office Road players. In 2 years, 9 star players had defected, and amongst them was Will Hoyle, who was labelled as Rovers' first great player. After brief closure from 1906 to 1908, Rovers reformed and enjoyed further success by winning the Junior Yorkshire Cup in the 1909-1910 season, and then going on to win all 4 cups after the break for World War I. This feat preceded Rovers' acceptance to the Northern Rugby League. Work began almost immediately on ground improvements in order to accommodate 15,000 fans at Post Office Road. Evidence here perhaps in this photo as to why Rovers fans are known as the Flat Cappers. The club's new era began with a game at Oxford Stadium on the 27th of August 1921, when Rovers in their very first senior outing defeated Bradford Northern by 17 points to 3. Rovers' success continued, and in this photograph the site proudly displays the Clayton Hospital Cup and the Lion Cup, which had been won in the 1923-24 season. However, desperate times were ahead as the club, unable to attract sufficient numbers through the turnstiles, was forced to produce and sell on its best players in order to survive. Also in the 1930s, the retirement of star players such as Jack Hurst and Jim Denton, who between them had practically held every Rovers scoring record, made matters even worse for the club. Things began to look up in 1938 when new club president Abraham Bullock stabilised the player drain by injecting his own cash into the club. Subsequently, Rovers with a settled team reached the Yorkshire Cup final, defeating Wakefield Trinity by 12 points to 9 at Oxford Stadium. The policy of hanging on to its playing assets began to pull Rovers out of the doldrums, and in 1952 the club embarked on a fairy tale Challenge Cup run. In this third round tie, the mighty Wigan were the visitors to Post Office Road, and a magical performance by Rovers in front of a hysterical 15,000 capacity crowd saw them overturn the red-hot favourites by 14 points to 11 in a game that is still talked about today. Under the guidance of player coach Eric Batten, Rovers progressed to their very first Wembley final, where they were to meet Gus Risman's Workington Town.
Their success was due to some very hard work by their captain, Eric Batten, wriggling. It was near the end when Ray Evans went away for Featherstone. Many thought he grounded the ball before crossing the line, but the try was allowed. Anyway, it was a handsome and well-deserved victory for the town after a very fine match.
Losing narrowly to Workington by 18 points to 10, player coach Eric Batten could justifiably be proud of his side, and so were the Rovers fans who lined the streets of Featherstone in their thousands to welcome home their heroes. The 1952 Challenge Cup campaign had significantly raised the profile of the club, and in the following years Rovers continued to find and encourage local talent, signing the likes of Jackie Fennell, Mick Clamp, Terry Clawson, Don Fox and Joe Mullaney, and Rovers were to contest their next major final in the year 1959. The Yorkshire Cup was at stake, and Rovers' opponents were the redoubtable Hull. The final was keenly contested, as all Rovers Hull games were in those days. Here we see the legendary Hull and Great Britain loose forward Johnny Whiteley scoring for the Boulevarders. In a seesaw match, Rovers hit back as deadly half-back partnership Joe Mullaney and Don Fox combined to send in Cliff Lambert under the Hull posts. The game couldn't have been closer as Rovers lifted the trophy with a 15-14 victory through tries by Fox, Wolford and Lambert, plus 3 Terry Clawson goals. The late 50s, early 60s saw Rovers lose 4 Challenge Cup semi-finals in 5 years. However, major success did come the club's way when Rovers' cup form gave the fans plenty to shout about. The 1966-67 season saw Rovers reach the Yorkshire Cup final only to suffer defeat at the hands of Hull KR, but better luck was to be had in the Challenge Cup. Rovers had reached Wembley after disposing of Rochdale, Wakefield, Castleford and Leeds. In order to lift the trophy for the first time in their existence, the Rovers now faced a very tough and fast Barrow side. Rovers had fallen behind in this game to a try by Tom Brophy, but the character and determination that had been so evident throughout this competition was soon to return.
Anna Morgan, the boy who bowls out, he's in! It must be a try, and it is 3 points. Anna Morgan, the boy I told you to watch. Barrow 7, Featherstone Rovers 5. Hug, a kick, and a drop. And a goal! A drop goal by Dula. What a fantastic drop goal. He kicked it with his bootlaces. Featherstone Rovers in the dark shorts. Brophy. Smith. Oh, interception! Oh, it's a try! Interception! Oh, what a pass! Oh, what an interception and what a try to Vaughan Thomas! No wonder. Smith is out on the ground. Dula, Mail, Jordan, good football. Movement, Rhetoric. Strong hard, he'll keep going. As long as he can. 25-yard line. Gone on his own. Dula gone on his own. Smails it over. Smails it in for a try. Dula showed the ball, pretended to kick. And there's the 2 blokes that made it. Dula who made it, and Smails, a happy man against his older team. And there's the captain, Malcolm Dixon, a minor from Yorkshire, where the Majesty wins.
Rovers had won the cup by 17 points to 12, and on receiving the trophy, skipper Mal Dixon was said to have been terrified of dirtying the Queen's gloves. The whole of Featherstone celebrated as their favourites had lifted the Challenge Cup for the first time in the club's history. The players received a rapturous welcome home from the proud and delighted townsfolk of Featherstone. The 1967 triumph proved to be the forerunner to the most glorious era in the club's history. The 70s saw the emergence of a crop of good young players who were complemented by the astute signing of veteran fullback Cyril Kellett for a bargain £500 fee. And also the appointment of Peter Fox as coach to the side proved to be a shrewd acquisition. The 1972-73 season saw Rovers come of age. They finished runners-up to the First Division Championship and then went on to their 3rd appearance in the Challenge Cup final. Rovers appointment.
Turning inside, in for a try, John Newland. Well, what a remarkable try, and it seemed to be so easy. With the big fellas, working moves like mad, scoring like mad. Vince Potter. Well, Stevie Nash really worked away, and Vince Potter really pushed it over. Thompson. 10 yards out. This is where Featherstone like to be, to work, moves, go on their own. This is it. Oh!
John knew it with the greatest of ease from Bridges, the captain of the team. What a game he's having. It's been a killing pace, actually. Unless Tonks has got to do it in short, sharp bursts. Tackled by Stan Fernley, who's doing a lot of tackling, actually. Rhodes, Mason's got his Smith in with him, and Smith still running. Smith still going in and out. Hey, what a try! What a try! Vince Farrow. Thompson going up into board, still working the move, and Dave Hartley pressures anything having just come on, will be the man to work on. It's a try, all right, but a lot of Dave Hartley's got it, a lot of complaints from Bradford on this. John Newell, the first time. I want to enjoy a summon for him. And the Paramount Battle Notebook from congratulating with the red, amber and black colours. And he gives it a little kick. Johnny Jackson.
The 33-14 victory had seen Rovers scrum half Steve Nash take the Landstock Trophy, and Cyril Kelly kicked 8 goals from as many attempts to create a Wembley record that still stands today. 12 months later, Rovers were back at the Twin Towers again, this time to face Alex Murphy's Warrington. Some unsavoury tactics and gamesmanship by Murphy's men reduced the final to an instantly forgettable experience. Rovers were knocked off their game and lost out by 24 points to 9. Despite leading at half-time by a general of track.
Anybody going for a drop yet? No, Bridges. Little short one. Oof. That was a hard one. And the test judge is in. And it's a penalty. And Murphy is appealing against this. And he's lost 10 yards by talking. He came up here. Now this was this short pass here to Hartley. Now this is the moment of impact. What happened? They'll take just the tap kick and work a move. It could be under the post, the Newlip. The nearest one, the Bain. Is it over? Is it a try? It's a try! Try for Featherstone. John Newlip, the captain. Not a lot of end product, but a bit of... These two are just having a get-together. Aye. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. Now, who's going to be the calming influence? Who's going to be the calming influence? And what is going to be the end result of it? Go towards him being a possible contender for the man of the match. And the hooter is gone. The hooter is gone. And the whistle is gone. And the end of this 1974 wrestling challenge of Warrington, 9 goals, 2 tries, 24 points. Featherstone, 9 points.
So Rovers had been beaten in one of the worst Challenge Cup finals in living memory. But on returning to Featherstone, the players' disappointment was soon forgotten, as they found that the fans had once again turned out in their thousands to welcome them home. The 1974-75 season saw Rovers finish a creditable 4th in the Championship table behind St Helens, Wigan and Leeds, but they were to suffer a severe blow when their mentor, Peter Fox, decided to quit and join neighbours Wakefield Trinity. In 75-76, the Rovers reached the Challenge Cup semi-final and finished close runners-up to Salford in the Championship, losing out by just 1 league point. The following season, however, Rovers made no mistake losing just 7 matches all season under the guidance of new coach Keith Cotton, who was a member of the Rovers' triumphant 1967 Cup side. Skipper Vince Farrer was presented with the First Division Championship trophy by club patron the Earl of Swinton, before a home crowd that incredibly was less than 4,000. This was Rovers' best ever side, but in season 1977-78, after losing the Yorkshire Cup for the 6th time in as many finals, the team was quickly dismantled. The backbone of the side, Thompson, Bridges, Farrer and Stone, all moved due to the club's financial plight, and problems were compounded by a players' strike. Just 2 years after winning the coveted First Division title, Rovers were relegated for the first time, but immediately they bounced back by winning the Second Division Championship. However, Rovers failed to make significant impact on the game until 4 years later, when Alan Agar and the late Keith Golding arrived at Post Office Road to take over the coaching reins. Their first priority was to save Rovers from relegation. This was achieved, but only just. The extraordinary events that were to follow shook the rugby league world to its foundations. Rovers, safe from the drop, were still involved in the Challenge Cup, albeit as no-hopers, as their third-round obstacle was a trip to Knowsley Road.
Oh, a beautiful move from well backed up by Nigel Barker. Featherstone on the attack. Featherstone here, Peter Smith, he's got the wingman with him. Oh, he's going over. Well, what a try. 11 minutes gone and Featherstone, forsaking the barging down the middle, send the ball out. Defence is very, very rattled. I don't think they expected Featherstone to come at them as strong as this. But coming at them they are. Peter Smith, Hudson again. A long pass to Hankin, Gilbert again. Oh, and he's going through. Oh, and a beautiful try. Well, what a try for number 4, John Gilbert. Peter Smith. Hobbs. Oh, and a good ball, yes, to Steve Quinn. Oh, he's got Kelly with him. He's going for the line. Oh, what a try. And another try for Gilbert. Well, my word, that try came out of the blue. And there is the hooter, and just look at those Featherstone players. What a magnificent cup victory they've pulled off. My word, Alec, what a turn up for the boot.
As the whole of the rugby league world looked on in amazement, the prospect of yet another Wembley final loomed larger. The semi-final draw provided Rovers with another daunting task, however, this time against Peter Fox's Bradford Northern.
Oh, a good ball! He's over!
It was
yes, and what a try! 11 minutes gone, and John Marsden, the man who scored in the third round against St Helens, puts Featherstone in the lead. And what a try! That came from nowhere. And good wide ball to Smith, to Banks, he's got a half gap. Oh, he's still going. Smith, Barker, and it's Gilbert going for that line. And he's over. Oh, yes. Well, 5 minutes gone in this half, and Featherstone have dragged themselves back into the game. Alan Banks, Hankin, Nigel Barker. Oh, and a good ball to Quinn. He's got the wingman outside him, there's Marsden. He's still going. Oh, and a beautiful ball to Terry Hudson. What a try! Oh, my word. Well, Terry Hudson might have been the man to put the ball down, but it's that little man again, John Marsden, one of his incursions into the game. Hankin. And there's the hooter. And those blue and white hoops. Just look at that man on the floor, number 7, Terry Hudson. Well, who would have put money on...
It was all too much for Terry Hudson, who shed tears of joy as the final hooter sounded. Just a few months earlier, Terry had almost transferred to Huddersfield for £1,500. Now he was to skipper his beloved Featherstone Rovers at Wembley Stadium. The other semi-final had seen the mighty Hull dispose of Castleford to spoil the prospect of a local West Yorkshire derby for the final. The Humbersiders were the current Challenge Cup holders and also First Division champions. The view of the bookmakers, tipsters and sceptics was that they only had to turn up to take the trophy. The Rovers faithful could hardly believe that their side, which had fought against a relegation battle for most of the season, was at Wembley yet again. The send-off was an unforgettable experience. They say that behind every great man is a great woman. Here we see the Rovers ladies preparing for a journey to London which they were never to forget.
Huge deafening roar, ticker tape welcome, the State Express Challenge Cup 1983, and thankfully into glorious sunshine. We've had torrential rain all morning. Young Maskett there, Gary Campbell all the way from Auckland, New Zealand, Steve Adams, James Mulai. And Pete Bridges, 31-year-old, just having a last chew before he starts. And the unfortunate Terry Day at substitute. Tremendous support here for both sides. 30,000 from Hull, 10,000 from Featherstone. Many have said that this Featherstone are a Gower side, a forward side, but they've, of all their tries, 12 of 14 have come through the backs. Oh, and here's one, Hobbs going for the line! And he's over! Well, what a surprise! 2 yards from his Featherstone line. Oh, he's lost it. Well, he's given a try. Mick Crane again at first receiver. He's doing the ball work. Oh, and a good pass to Rose, to Lulai. This is the man looking over the line, and he's there! Featherstone piling the pressure on now. Steve Hankin. Gary Siddall, Hankin again. Oh, and a good ball to Hobbs. Oh, he's going for the line, and he's over. Well, just when we thought Featherstone were down, there's that man Hobbs again. He strolled through that whole defence. 12 points to 10. A second try, driving to those posts, absorbing 2 or 3 tackles. Here could be a dramatic penalty. The touch judge obviously seen something, Mr. Reid, and a penalty, yes. Steve Quinn has already kicked 3. But there comes a time in a goal kicker's life when 1 counts, and I'm sure this will be the one in Quinn's life. Seconds ticking away. The Challenge Cup to be settled here. It is! Hull must be desperate to get hold of this ball. Terry Hudson, he had a spell off for 10 minutes in the sin bin and Featherstone were looking rocky. But how has he brought them back in the game? 3 minutes of injury time now. And there is the hooter! Well, one of the greatest turn-ups of all time is live in Featherstone, born in Featherstone, and work in the mines in Featherstone. And I'm sure that when Terry Hudson goes up for this cup, there's got to be a little beating in the heart of Lord Joe Gormley. And I don't know who looks the more pleased, Joe Gormley or Terry Hudson. I think 2 of the proudest men, and Bob Ashby there, the club chairman, must be one of the proudest men at Wembley. And that medal. And it's there. And oh, Featherstone leap in the air. They've done it again. They've defeated the favourites. Lance-Stop Trophy winner David Hobbs and his Featherstone Rovers teammates had achieved the impossible in
pulling off one of the biggest shocks in Challenge Cup history, leaving white-hot, star-studded Hull bewildered and bemused. As the open-top bus returned to West Yorkshire, the Rovers fans were still pinching themselves as they tried to reflect on what they had witnessed just 24 hours before. Station Lane was indeed a sight for sore eyes, and fans had even packed into the Post Office Road ground in order to secure a good view of their heroes and also, of course, the glittering prize that they had brought with them. The euphoria of their success carried Rovers through the close season, and naturally expectations for the 83-84 campaign were high. Preparations started well with the pre-season capture of Yorkshire and Great Britain under-18 scrum half, one Derek Fox. Within 6 weeks of signing professional, Fox had established himself as a first-team scrum half, enabling Terry Hudson to move to the loose forward position. Keith Golding once described Fox as a Nash, Millward and Agar all rolled into one. The optimism for Rovers' success soon diminished, however, as injuries to several key players decimated the small squad, which, in the end, did well to fend off relegation. The next 4 seasons saw Rovers enter a new depression. The miners' strike and destruction by fire of the main stand meant the club was again subjected to severe financial pressure, which again resulted in the subsequent loss of players. Amongst them was David Hobbs, the hero of Wembley. He'd joined Oldham in a £40,000 transfer. Consequently, Rovers were relegated at the end of the 86-87 season. But desperate for an immediate return to the top flight, Rovers chairman Richard Evans tempted back to Post Office Road the redoubtable Peter Fox. More good news for the club was that the Rugby Football League had granted Rovers a game against the touring Papua New Guinea side to mark the opening of the main stand and clubhouse. In the league, Fox guided Rovers straight back to Division 1 as championship runners-up to Oldham. Rovers also were second best to the Lancashire outfit in a thrilling second division Premiership final at Old Trafford.
Places, so it's Keith Bell with the ball. Keith Bell on ball out there to Graham Stedman. Graham Stedman there to number 3, Dave Sykes. Dave Sykes cutting back inside. Trying to dummy Mike Ford there, trying to get the pass away there. Graham Stedman there with the ball. Graham Stedman there from that pass from Dave Sykes. That's more like it. That's what Oldham's been doing all afternoon. Over 6, Oldham 22. Just bundled down about 15 yards short of that Oldham try line. Derek Fox with the ball out, long ball out now to Graham Stedman. Graham Stedman, little get throw, Graham Stedman. Beautiful try by Graham Stedman. Graham Stedman, Peter Smith back inside. No, Peter Smith dumbing one way, dumbing another. Back to Alan Banks. Alan Banks now to Andy Bannister. Andy Bannister cutting back inside. Andy Bannister on a run up this side. Andy Bannister taking the ball. Andy Bannister scores a fantastic try for Featherstone Rovers. Paul Hughes now. Paul Hughes trying to go on his own. Paul Hughes tackled 5 yards short of that Oldham try line. 4 points separating the games now. Andy Bannister now to Keith Bell. Long ball from Keith Bell to Derek Fox. Derek Fox into Carlisle. Carlisle to Graham Stedman. Graham Stedman to Paul Ivan. Paul Ivan to Dave Sykes. And Dave Sykes scores a magnificent try for Featherstone Rovers. So it's Stevie Quinn there, Oldham being caught offside, 5 yards inside their own line. Stevie Quinn says to Derek Fox, give me that ball. I want to plant it between them posts, so we'll see what he can do with this kick. 100% up to press Stevie Quinn. 4 before this kick, strikes it well. Where's it going? Where's it going? It's going straight between the middle. Stevie Quinn, 5 goals this afternoon, 10 points. Oldham 22, Featherstone Rovers 26. 4 Featherstone players. Oldham now trying to throw the ball about. Mike 4-3 through the gap. Beautiful try there by Kevin Meadow, middle of the park, and that brave comeback by Featherstone Rovers should just seal this game now for Oldham. Well, I've been to Wembley 3 or 4 times. I come to Old Trafford here last year, but I've never seen scenes like this, standing up to this Featherstone Rovers team. Look, 10 out at half time, 22 points.
A new season brought new signings. Amongst an influx of youngsters was 17-year-old Paul Newlove, and to counterbalance that was the veteran prop Jeff Gratian, who had been signed from Bradford Northern. Sadly, after a glorious career with Rovers, ace marksman Steve Quinn decided to hang up his golden boots. A notable acquisition was that of Western Suburbs and New Zealand loose forward Brendan Tutor, who, because of his aggressive style, had been nicknamed the baby-faced assassin by the Australian press. The 1990s have so far proved to be a decade not too unlike any other in Rovers history, as a small town battles to put a class side on the field without the financial resources of the bigger clubs and also without the potential audience. Skipper and long-serving scrum half Derek Fox departed for Bradford Northern to follow coach Peter Fox, after Rovers again suffered relegation at the end of the 1991-92 campaign. Rovers' first Australian coach, Steve Martin, immediately steered the side to a second division title and premiership double, Rovers beating a determined Workington Town outfit at the Old Trafford showpiece. The presence of Paul Newlove on that day was to prove decisive in a close encounter.
Workington read it correctly. And Featherstone still on the Workington 20-metre line. Ball being lobbed across the line. Going hard for the corner. Are they going to drive over? And he's given it. Well, first try then. Featherstone trying to pull this out of the bag now. They go right across the face of the post. Straightening up, and the defenders come out and put them down in the fifth tackle. Featherstone fighting for a try. Long wide round the gap in the corner. Drummond coming in, hanging on to Newlove. And has he given it? And Newlove is in at the corner. His ball's 18 metres out, and at the moment it's all Featherstone as they batter away at the line. A long pass stretching them again, and he's knocked down and not put down and not smothered. Not burying the men, Workington. And just inches from the line. Millimetres out. Manoeuvring going on from behind the play of the ball. And now it's all Featherstone as the gap opens up. And Featherstone are over underneath the post. The standoff half, Maloney.
This hard-earned victory over Workington was just reward for the efforts of all concerned at Post Office Road, and the club was again relishing the opportunity to make its mark in the big league. This championship and premiership double had been accomplished in style and was followed by unprecedented bouts of spending in an attempt to establish Rovers as one of the game's elite. Players of the calibre of Steve Malloy, Andy Currier, Mark Aston, Gary Price and French international forward Daniel Dive were recruited at a total cost of £500,000. This policy, however, proved to be largely unsuccessful, despite a Challenge Cup semi-final appearance against Leeds in March 1995. The failure of those major signings was naturally a huge disappointment to all concerned, but this paled into virtual insignificance with the bombshell that was about to hit Rovers. The excitement of the semi-final had within a week turned to despair when, completely out of the blue, the very existence of the club was threatened. After a hurriedly called meeting of club chairmen at Wigan, the news broke of Rupert Murdoch's intervention with an £87 million bid for a Super League of clubs. Rovers, Castleford and Wakefield were told by the game's board of directors that in order to be part of it, the three clubs must become one. Other areas of the game, such as Humberside and Cumbria, were to be similarly affected. The unprecedented scenes of anger and protest by the fans, particularly in this area, will live in the memory forever. Many tears were shed by distraught fans who could not reconcile that the powers that be were apparently prepared to condone the execution of clubs who, over the years, had contributed so much to the game. Persistence paid off, however, and just weeks later, Chief Executive to the Rugby Football League, Maurice Lindsay, was to admit that mergers were not the demand of Murdoch's organisation. To the total relief of the fans, merger demands were withdrawn, and the Featherstone Rovers club was saved. The 94-95 season saw Rovers finish in 11th position in Division 1, cruelly just one place beneath the Super League cut-off point. Both London and new club Paris were fast-tracked to form a 12-team Super League, leaving Rovers with the considerable task of attaining promotion in the new summer competition of 1996. Captain Steve Malloy and local hero Martin Pearson emerged as the leading lights in Rovers' quest for Super League status, while at the lower end of the scale, the club once again enjoys a vibrant youth policy that mirrors the strategy which produced the 1977 championship winning side. Rovers coach David Ward is the director of this youth policy, which created a young Rovers Academy side that won the centenary season championship trophy. The distinguished history of Rovers would suggest that homegrown youngsters such as these will once again lead the successful Featherstone Rovers charge. They too will write themselves into the Featherstone Rovers history books as rugby league soars towards the 21st century. And who knows, some of these stars of the future may one day find themselves in the coveted Featherstone Rovers Hall of Fame.
Thank you for the days, those endless days, those sacred days you gave me. I'm thinking of the days I won't forget a single day, believe me. I bless the light, I bless the light that lights on you, believe me. And though you're gone, you're with me every single day, believe me. Days I remember all my life, days when you can't see wrong from right. You took my life, but then I knew that very soon you'd leave me. But it's alright, now I'm not frightened of this world, believe me. I wish today could be tomorrow. The night is long, it just brings sorrow.